I will. Man, I struggled with this week's. I came up with what I thought was a wonderful idea, and I had all these creative things going through my head, but I was working and I couldn't write it all down. So I got home from work at 3:30 and I had this idea what I was going to do, and I sat down and I actually had an hour of writer's block. I don't get writer's block. I couldn't think of anything, and I decided that I needed to change the strategy because what was there was not there, and if I did anything, it was gonna be very arty and very contrived, and I didn't want that. So I just started reading some some Taoist stuff I've been going through. I actually finished it up, the Tao Te Ching, and was hoping that would inspire me, and that didn't inspire me. And time was closing in on me, and I thought, well, I can just lead just the basic meditation, which is always an option, and I'll do that sometimes when ideas just run from my brain. And I said, no. Something came up. I suddenly remembered something, and I was thinking, what is it like? You know, we talk about those cycles of life, and childhood is easy for me to talk about, but I never talk about people like late teens and 20s and early 30s or 30s, what they're going through. And what hit me was those were the ages of my parents when I was a child. And I did not have children, so I did not have that experience raising children, although I've been a teacher for 30 years, so I've been involved in many other ways. And then things started falling into place once I realized that I knew people and knew them intimately and what they'd gone through and what the struggles were, that I did have a place to go to. And this just reminded me of, years ago I went to ACA. Maybe some of you have been there before, and ACA is Adult Children of Alcoholics. Some people call it ACLA. And I remembered a lot of great stuff I'd learned from there. And I also remember this thing I learned as a teacher called Circle of Security. And it talks about the needs of a child. How this relates to people in their 20s and 30s is that's typically the age when people are raising kids. And I look at my parents and just see what resources they didn't have that past generations had. Families have gone through a period of drastic change the last 100 years, and I know that seems like a long time, but as far as generations go, it's not a long time. And it used to be some of the grandparents would be in the family to help with kids. One person may be at home the whole time, and another person would be doing a lot of the work outside, and there'd be a division of labor. There is more support, and now people in that age do not have any support. They work 2 jobs. They have to do as much as they can for their kids as possible, and a lot of times their jobs just want more and more from them. I think if there's any if there's any age that we look at that we've done a great disservice to, I would say it's childhood still. And I think that's the next one. Those folks just don't get a lot of help. The older parents are either in nursing care, or more often they're retired and just living a totally separate life. So those frameworks of support we developed have eroded, and now we're developing new ones, and we will adopt, but it's totally different. Circle of security. The idea behind that is when a child leaves to explore or wants independence, that we celebrate when they leave and they want to explore and they want independence. And when they want safety and love, that we embrace them and welcome that. So we welcome it when they want to grow and don't cling on to them. And we welcome it when they want to come to us and we nurture them. And if we do too much of holding someone in, holding a child in, and if we do too much of a not welcoming a child when they want attention, then there's problems. Trauma, attachment disorder, things like that. It can cause problems. So how this deals with adults is that having that model is hard because a lot of adults didn't have those things in their own lives. And now many of us, not me, but many of us are going to start going into their 20s and 30s, and maybe they've not had an experience of being able to observe those things in another person. So I just thought I would talk about, raising kids and raising ourselves, because that's what ends up happening a lot of times. We have to raise ourselves and teach ourselves, and we need to raise kids and live that professional life, and what that's like. I know in the circle of security, they say when a child is exploring and learning and growing away from us, that it's time to watch over them, make sure they're safe, but to delight in them and to help them and to enjoy those things they're doing with them. And when they're coming to us, our job is to protect them and to comfort them, and to delight in that, and to help them understand their feelings, what they're feeling when they come to us, so that they know there's a strong, kind adult who will allow them to explore and make sure they can do that safely, and a strong, kind adult who will be there to help them when the help is needed. And again, a lot of us, like I say, have not had that. I am lucky because when I really review my past, I can say I had some of that. I also had some pretty terrible things too. But I had some of that. And so I do have some models to go off of. But a lot I needed to learn myself. Well, I went through that pretty fast. I will say, when I was listening to, I did a reading really quick on Circle of Security just to get my brain rewired, because it was a long time ago I learned about this. I learned about this like 15 years ago, and I was pretty excited about it. But the person who was sharing it, she was from Africa, and it was in English, but she was teaching, parents in Africa how to do these things. And so it was really cool. And she says, but I've learned, we got to know that sometimes good enough is good enough. And that was a huge takeaway. I can use that in a million things, but she talks about when it comes to raising our kids, good enough is good enough. She guarantees that every parent is going to make mistakes. Right? So I'm going to do my best to lead this meditation, right? Because it's based on very, very loose notes. Let's start with a few deep breaths. And again, if you have problems breathing, you can just make circles on your palm or tap your fingers like this. Do something different. Take one deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. Another deep breath. One last deep breath. In this meditation, we will be working with ourselves. First, we want to find the part of ourselves that is mature, that is strong, that has made it through struggles and had success, that is kind and well-intentioned, the part of ourselves that we know we can rely on. Give that person a face or a presence and just spend some time doing that. now that you've found that part of yourself, and if it's hard, that's okay. This does not have to be perfect. But just see that part of yourself, imagine that part of yourself. And now that we've done that, see yourself in an old photograph as a child. It can be any age. Probably the photograph and age that comes to you first will be the most useful. Just look at the face and recognize the face. Keep looking at the face. Attaching with ourselves and knowing ourselves and being able to teach ourselves is a vital part of our recovery and an important part of our practice as Buddhist and as other spiritual beings. Remember the life of this child at the time the photo was taken. Who were your friends? What made that child happy? What made that child angry or sad? What made that child afraid? See the child going off to play. You can join the child if it's young enough and play with them, or maybe just watch or make sure they're safe. But delight in them running out into the world and moving their legs and spreading their arms and making new friends, skinning their knees and bumping their heads. Just allow that child to be what it's meant to be. Now see that child come to you. It wants to share something with you. It's found a bug. Delight in the child's discovery. Spend time explaining how we treat animals when we find them. And just love that child and give it all your attention. Now, as the child wants to run off and play again, just know that you will be available. If they ever come to you and they're hurt, they're angry, they're afraid, they're sad, or they're joyful, in any state, you will be there to take care of them. And many of us are adults now, raising children of our own, learning that good enough is good enough, and we will make mistakes. Just take the time to recognize that maybe you have one child, or maybe you have a dozen. But there will always be one or two more, and one of them will be that part of you that's still wounded and not grown up or healed yet. And always try to find some space to help yourself there. Just take 3 more deep breaths, just enjoying the moment. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And just know that you're valuable and you're wanted and you have a good purpose in this world. Namaste. Okay. Before I run into a very short dedication word, I just want to say this month, 20 years no nicotine. This Friday, 13 years no alcohol. And today, 3 weeks no sugar or desserts. So I am getting my abstinence back after struggling with it for like 6 months. So I'm grateful. So, okay. Just be comfortable. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. Namaste.